Talk about uncertainty alleviating social anxiety. That is, for those of you who do Facebook Lives, or you want to do Facebook Live and you don't, one way to alleviate social anxiety is through therapeutic singing. That's I start to sing because I don't know what's going on with the tech. You get so anxious and you don't know what's happening. And I'm just so delighted to have the opportunity, like in majorly real time, to share that with you. And I'm so glad that you are here for our uncertainty and how it can boost your confidence and how it can alleviate your social anxiety. And this is our monthly community event presented by Voices of Eden and yours truly. My name is Eliana Gilad. We've had a lot of people who have joined us recently, so welcome to our new members. I'm your host for this live broadcast and masterclass, and I'm the creator of Emerge Triumphant, which is our signature course, and the Empower Your Feminine Voice Retreat. And I'm so over the moon excited today to be here with everyone because it's like I'm living in real time this thriving through uncertainty, and it is really such an exciting thing to be able to share with all of you in real time. I mean, I've taught this stuff for so many years, but now in particular is particularly exciting. And so we have a ton of awesome material that I'm going to cover with you today. And if you have other windows open or Facebook, other windows, or anything else that's hooking your attention, please go ahead and close that out right now, because this is something that you're really going to want to focus with. You're going to receive so much out of what we're going to cover right now. And I do try and answer all of your questions. If by some chance, because I'm dealing with tech here, if by some chance I don't answer yours in real time, or we have a lot of people who watch afterwards, if you're watching this afterwards, welcome to you as well. If I didn't answer your question or what's pressing for you that's related to the subject of our broadcast today, then please write either in the comments or send us an email at team@voicesofeden.com, and I promise that once the broadcast is over, that I will promise I'll respond to you. And here's some majorly awesome possum news, is that we have a really special gift for you for those who are at the end of the broadcast, and particularly for those of you, there have been several of you who have expressed interest in attending the Empower Your Feminine Voice Retreat, but I don't know how I can do that, or I don't know if I could come to Portugal, Eliana. I've prepared something that you're gonna, well, I don't want to say anything right now. I'm going to announce it at the end after we go through the material. It's really, really cool. I promise you're going to love it, and you're not going to want to miss it. So stay to the end. And this gift is and for those of you who don't even know about the retreat or our courses, the gift that I'm going to offer, it's just very, very potent if you need help sifting through this bizarro time that we're living through right now. to get clear and centered in your personal and professional life so that you emerge from these times set, poised, centered, rooted, ready to thrive. And so at the end of our event today, I'm going to be sharing that information with you. And I see that there are some people. Thank you so much for showing up live. I love that. So I have a few questions for you. And of course, if you're watching afterwards, this is for you also. My first question is, are you a powerful woman? Do you consider yourself a powerful woman, or a purpose-driven professional on the other side of the pandemic, right? We're done with that initial stuff, but at this point you're feeling the need to change, but you have no clue what that is. Like, say yes. If that's you, say yes. And if so, I really get it, because not knowing what to do next and how to remain grounded when anxiety tries to knock off our center that hold us back, it is so common, so much more common than you think. And you know that it keeps us from being seen and being heard, and creating a lot of anxiety in social situations, whether that's personal situation or professional situation. So, oh, Dorothy, hey Dorothy, thank you for coming. Yeah, all right, you're not the only one, and I totally get it. Here's the second one, and if you guys relate to both, it doesn't have to be one or the other, because sometimes as I go through, I'm going to ask some questions, and you may relate to all of them. That's totally fine. But I want to ask, for those of you who are healing professionals, and please enter this on authentically, honestly. This group is here for your honesty, to be vulnerable. It's not a sign of your weakness, it's a sign of your power, being vulnerable. Are you happy with the way that your practice is evolving in these post-pandemic times? I know when we were in COVID, so many of us in this group were like inundated because there was so much need for help, and you were just out there 24/7 helping others. But now that we're on the other side, I'm curious, how is your practice going post-pandemic? Because there are a lot of concerns about adapting to technology, because so much now is online. We know that change happened. In different financial situations, and that having said yes to everybody when you're so overwhelmed and so burnt out and needing to stop and take a break but not knowing how, those are all really, really common issues. There's nothing wrong with you. That's like normal what's going on. So I'm curious if, that's the number two. Let me know if that, Dorothy, reevaluating. Well, it could be both. We have a lot of our community have both of those, and I say normal. It's normal given these circumstances. Not a healthy thing, but it's normal. And whether you're an established professional or you're shifting gears to create a heart-centered personal or professional practice for the first time, you're in the right place, really. This is the starting point of a journey into the wisdom and the power of your feminine voice that is so healing and that will change your life. And don't believe me, because it's not worth diddly squat. It's what you experience that's going to make the difference. And now that we know who this broadcast is for, let's go over the biggest questions that are facing those two kinds of professionals and powerful women during these times. And let me know in the chat box which one of these you relate to, all right? And it may be, I'll name them by number, all right? So go like 1 or 2 or 3, and maybe it's going to be all of them, all right? Number 1 is, this is with regards to your self-expression. That you're afraid everything's going to fall apart if you truly express who you really are inside. Even and especially after years of real conscious work on yourself. You're over the drama trauma, and you're a leader to others, but you find yourself avoiding being visible because you're feeling very, very vulnerable. That's number one. And afraid that things are going to fall apart if you really express yourself. That's number one. Number two is, though you've been a well-respected woman in your field, sometimes you still get triggered and you feel invisible and you feel unheard and you feel unseen, especially if you're a middle-aged woman. Like, media doesn't exactly represent us juicy, powerful women. That's number two. Or do you relate to this more? Do you find yourself asking, how do I remain grounded and centered when anxiety tries to knock me off of my center? That's number three. Number four is you had that faith, you had that magic to accomplish even the impossible, but now in this period, you're worried that it might be lost for good. Maybe it's totally gone and you're looking for a way to reignite it. You're looking for a way to be who you are in the world with ease. That's number four. And I want to say right now, kudos to you for being here, for watching this, because that's an important step forward, and I'm going to show you how you can keep this momentum moving forward. But like I said a few minutes ago, the vulnerability, that is not, we've been taught it's a weakness, and it's not. It's a power. And so kudos to you, really. That's fantastic. Dorothy, I'm not done. I've got one more. You're uncertain what's next, all right? You're like exhausted trying to figure it out because you get nowhere fast with it. Like, you feel like you're beating your head against the wall, hard as you try. And you're a smart cookie, right? I mean, it's not like you're avoiding things. Do you relate to that too, Dorothy? And those of you who are watching afterwards. Sabine, 4, all else already has fallen apart. Interesting. Sabine, fallen apart, meaning fallen apart like it's dissipated, unfolded, or things have cracked open, fallen apart, and you don't know what's next. They're both very common. Which one? Oh, Dorothy, yes. Okay. Sabine, which one? Curious. You ever wonder how I teach about thriving through uncertainty? You might think that just because I own a training business that specializes in feminine voice and in therapeutic singing programs, that effortlessly expressing my voice or knowing what to do or figuring things out has always been easy for me, that you'd be totally wrong, because that's totally not the case. Because through lots of pain, I learned that from surrendering struggle, even amidst bombs blasting in war, surrendering the struggle often comes the most profound solutions. And you might not, those of you who don't know me yet, and then there's some of you here who know me well, but what you might not have known is that I first started taking all of my direction from my inner voice while working with Lester Levinson, who was founder of the Sedona Method. And if you don't know the Sedona Method, it's a release technique. It's a inner inquiry based in non-duality, on the knowledge that all is one. And I learned that in the early 1980s when I was a yuppie on the spiritual path, and I had the great fortune, it's one of the biggest gifts of my life, to work very closely with Lester and help introduce that release technique into corporate America. This was in the mid-'80s. But following that inner guidance, which I learned to stop looking outside of myself for answers. And I first left the U.S. During the recession, which was in the early 90s in the U.S. And I started my own releasing coaching practice. And lo and behold, I made all of the typical mistakes that most coaches, healers, purpose-driven professionals make when they try to get their practices off the ground. And it was ick. Somehow it never dawned on me that others might not be as interested in deep, like, inner inquiry as I was. I was like, I'm an enthusiastic person. I jump in with all fours. And I applied myself 100%, but my courses didn't fill, and maybe a few, but not really. And I think I was thinking that things would manifest as easily for me as they did for Lester. Lester was like realized. I had more practice to put under my belt, and really in those days, it was like a spiritual bypass. I was too afraid. I was still too self-defensive to meet the underbelly of what was keeping me from being who I really was. And it was so painful, and it was really disheartening, and it was very lonely too, because I was out on a limb, but I wouldn't let myself go all the way. And to be honest, it was very, very lonely. What did I do wrong? Well, here were a few of my big issues, and see if any of these seem familiar to you, because they're connected both to uncertainty, and they're also connected to social anxiety. Number one was not realizing, I left the States in 1991. I've lived most of my adult life overseas, save for the last several years where I was in the U.S., but now I'm back in Portugal. Not back in Portugal, I'm back in Europe, now living in my fourth transcontinental move. But I didn't realize that different cultures approach life with different mindsets and value systems than the open-minded culture that Californians learn. And that open-mindedness was actually quite closed. I unconsciously believed that there was a right way and a wrong way to accomplish things, and that my enlightened way was right. And really, that was part of the pain, because it was, you don't know what you don't know. It was unconscious. It was very presumptuous. And I didn't know that trying to figure things out was the problem that was keeping me so exhausted, and keeping me anxious, and keeping me very confused. And there's a simple tool for getting clear answers to any question 24/7, and I'm going to lead you on we're going to have a little meditation for that shortly. Hold on, let me see, round zero. Hello, oh, Sunita, great to see you. And Agnieszka, I love you. Agnieszka, am I announcing your name, saying your name right? I don't know. Let me know. And I have my notes here, but they went down. Hold on, let me pull them back up. Yeah, yay, Portugal, yes. And the thing is, over this whole trajectory, thankfully I'm devoted, and I'm very faithful to that inner voice and guidance, which did finally provide me with the clarity to teach how to let go of the blocks that stand in the way of fully expressing our voices and our gifts with ease, that change lives and contribute to the highest good, no matter what's going on around us, even when things look like they're falling apart. But honestly, I made so many mistakes, very costly mistakes, like talking about when I first put those courses together. What I would do, I would be so anxious about speaking about it or reaching out to others that I canceled a bunch of courses at the last minute because I was so afraid that no one would show up, or else if I really spoke my truth that people would attack me or criticize me, because that happened a lot in the past, or that they would say I'm crazy for daring to follow my inner wisdom, and thank God, thank God I chose one day at a time, over 30, at this point it's more than 30 years, that I have followed that deeper voice. That's the other paradigm. And I don't want you to have to deal with the isolation and the loneliness that I did. And it's what gets me up in the morning every day. And I'm never retiring, I'm just getting started at this point. Because it's not worth going the safe way. That's what I learned. And so if you're feeling, similar to that, and you're looking for a different way to be able to use that uncertainty and that anxiety that comes up, you're in the right place. And I'm curious, what, can you relate to, can you relate to this? Or am I like speaking off the wall? I would really appreciate knowing, because I want to get into our material. You know how they say, the Chinese say, may we live in interesting times, right? Having been socially isolated. Oh, okay, good, Sabine, thank you. When everything's up in the air and everything is pivoted, nobody knows what's coming next, these times anxiety paralyzed me when I manifested what I wanted and I ran away. Oh my God, yes. Anybody else relate to what Agnieszka? Agnieszka. Am I pronouncing that right? I'm learning European Portuguese, which has such different sounds. So Agnieszka, I think I did that right. I think it's helping me with the Polish. But that's why we're having this broadcast right now. Oh, yay! What a beautiful name. And is it Kasia? We have Poland in the house. I love it. Oh my God, that's so fun. That is so fun. So let's make this the time for creating clarity and confidence amidst the uncertainty, because it is totally possible. And creating clarity about what's next for you that lights up your soul. And then once you are really clear, I will, at the end, then I'll tell you the exciting part, all right? That we will I get goosebumps. I'm not going to say anymore. Anyway, what we're going to cover right now is ways to learn and remember your own connection to your original power, and how that's part of the symphony of life and the natural rhythm that we are all part of. And then the fascinating story of feminine choice, and how long ago silent voice was used by everyday women, by priestesses, even goddesses of the ancient world, and how that relates to today. And then we're going to go through a guided meditation to tap into the rootedness of your feminine voice, revealing your birthright to be in this sacred feminine circle, because you are who you are. You're enough. And as you'll discover, following the uncertain path, uncertainty, the unknown, it's a process of self-discovery. So you're going to tap into your unique mythos, your unique story, your own one-of-a-kind origin story as you cut through your surface thoughts and endless mind chatter and the old story, okay? And then you'll have a lot more clarity. All right, so right now let's get into the material. Right now I want to help you learn and remember your own connection to your original power, and how that really is part of the symphony of life and the natural rhythm we're all part of. So get ready, like get in your chair, wherever you're sitting, whether it's on a couch, whether it's on a chair. Get ready to say goodbye to disconnect and overwhelm. And right now, first step, please post a word. We've already started, but right now what I'd like for you to post is one word, could be 2 words, that expresses a frustration or a disconnect, some kind of frustration that you're going through that is connected to uncertainty and to the social anxiety, but particularly to the uncertainty of the not knowing. I'm going to give you a moment to, and for those of you who are, coming in later, watching this afterwards, please, write that in the comments. And we'll see, because it's really cool what happens when we start sharing, how much there's a common thread that starts coming through. One word. Wanting to know the answer now. Oh, definitely. All right, so what's the experience of that when you want to know the answer now? Anybody else relate to that? Well, you know what? That's really great, Agnieszka. You have an inkling, right? What you want to do is it this, but you're not really clear exactly what it is or how you should do it, and you're confused, so you try to figure it out, and the figuring it out doesn't work. Analysis paralysis, exactly. Here's the thing. While your intention is correct, applying reason to resolve the issue, that's the thing that causes the paralysis. All right, you want a real story? Here it is. It's 5:30 in Portugal. In another 6 hours, 7, 8 hours, I don't know. I'm going to be picked up at 2:30 this morning. Like, I'm going to not have a lot of sleep this evening. I am going to Faro Airport, and I am flying back to the United States to get my visa to live in Portugal. God help me. I don't know how this is all going to pan out. I mean, I'm literally living through this, like, right now. All right, so how's it going to work? All right, well, the first thing, talk about, here's one of the solutions to it, analysis paralysis. All right, so I know, oh wow. So I have these, I just moved here. I'm sitting in a chair. I don't have a couch yet. See, like, I haven't put the mirror up. It's like, I don't have all the furniture in here. It took me a month to get over the jet lag. I spent months closing up shop in the United States and getting here. It's the last thing I want to be doing, frankly, to get on a plane and go back to the United States. And I'm tired. But what am I going to do? Argue with it? In the past, the analysis paralysis and the fear to follow through, something would happen and I wouldn't do it, and then be right, and then not get it, and then not live my dreams. The analysis paralysis got me to United Airlines. I have the credit for flight, so easy peasy. Oh, great, I'll take the flight from London to San Francisco. No worries. So I scheduled the flight at United. Well, that was the easy part. But then I have to get from Faro to London. That part is the big deal, because there are the flights from Faro to London at this time of year, and they don't sync with the United flight from Heathrow. So I have to go in a day early and transfer airports, and it's like, kill me now. I mean, I just went through that, right? God. It didn't occur to me. This is another part. Can you relate to this? I wasn't. A friend of mine said, actually, it was a client, said, who's become a very dear friend, did you ever think of going through Lisbon? No, because United doesn't fly through Lisbon, and I want to use my credits. It's because I was being too cheap. I wasn't, but I was. When I look at the underneath the analysis paralysis, it's not giving value to the uncertainty that there could be something different. I'm trying to get along, take care. Can you relate to this? I am so proud of myself. I bought the ticket on tap. I am flying direct from Faro to Lisbon, and Lisbon directly to San Francisco. And yes, it's costing me several thousand more dollars. But I can't! How can I spend the money in a recession? Ever have that thought? But that is like such bullshit. Pardon my French, because there is always money. The issue about not having money and not going, and it's what our egos do and the fear does to keep us small. Because in the past, I wouldn't invest in myself. But you know what? In the past few months, I've invested beaucoup bucks. To move here, to invested in my business, invested in my personal well-being. Because I know, and I have learned over 30 plus years, that the key is in the face of the uncertainty. Exactly at the point where you want to shut down is the point of opportunity to move forward. You know, but it requires stopping figuring it out. It isn't stopping figuring it out. The head wants to figure it out, but it's being willing to go out of your mind. And I've been around the block enough times now that I know that the discomfort that's the price to pay. It's like a pittance for the amazing stuff. You know, come back next month. We'll see what happened next week. You know what? Maybe I was like, my way over here was what helped me so much. Like every day I found myself online, just whipping open the camera. But it's so empowering when you say yes to your well-being, even when you don't know how. Is anyone taking something from this? This is like unscripted. I'm being real with you right now. Real. The problem with the confusion is it's the intellect, and we've all been trained to figure things out. Applying reason to resolve the issue is incorrect. The question is coming from your head. That's the problem, because the answer lies beyond your mind. It's from another paradigm altogether. It's that place where, do you know what I'm talking about? Maybe you don't have words for it, but that's your inner voice. That's that feminine power in your womb space. Yeah. Yeah, opportunity shows up, and that gives us the opportunity to grow. So what do? How do you go beyond? Well, one, be present and stop trying to figure it out. Like I'll know when I get there. I mean, there's nothing for me to figure out. And I'm going back to California. The mind goes, well, how could you be in California and not go visit your mother? My mother's birthday is on the day that I'm going to the consulate. But I'm giving myself permission to see how I feel when I get there. And then get quiet. Until you stop and get quiet, you're not going to be able to hear anything beyond that monkey mind, that critical voice that's programmed to keep us safe and small. And for the many Americans in the house, I don't want to just point out Americans, but it's like in our American culture, it's really very much ensconced, is that as Americans, we are not really well schooled in resilience. American culture is consumer and transactional based, and our value system is based on convenience, not on connection. So that the moment that things go awry, we freak out. We don't know how to cope. And here in Portugal, it's group based. It's relationship based. It's non-American transaction based. Right before here, I just spent the last hour and a half in the bank speaking to my banker. I wasn't speaking about banking. We were speaking about tequila. And it's like, it wasn't because he's trying to be a good banker to the consumer. No, it's just no one was there, and so we were having a conversation. And a relationship is developing. So you can do the same thing with yourself. Take the time to listen what that deeper voice inside of you is telling you. That's the voice of your intuition. That's the voice of your own power and wisdom. That's the voice of the real you. And then acknowledge what you hear. And then have the courage to take action on that. Because my experience over my whole life has taught me that is the right action in any situation. It's so empowering, when I act on that voice, especially when it makes zero sense. So taking those few minutes out and practicing a deeper version of the practice that we're going to do today, I got clarity, and I knew what to do next. And where we're living today, it's time to chart a different course. It's like how we lived before doesn't work anymore, if you haven't noticed. And you've got two options. You can, one, do nothing, which is that analysis paralysis, or the anxiety is from that place. It's an option, but nothing's going to change. And you're going to stay trapped in that inner fear and the turmoil and go down with the ship. I mean, I see what we're going through today. It's, we're a change of such proportion. It's like the Titanic time. It's like, move forward or you're going to go down with the ship. And that's not fear-mongering at all. I find it very empowering, because the other option is to face the fear and move through it. Because the pain of the change, that is inevitable. Suffering is optional, okay? Change and birth is messy, it's bloody, it's uncomfortable. But when you face it and don't run, you emerge on the other side empowered, inspired, resilient, clear on what's next for you, and you have this beautiful baby. Whether that's a literal baby or a proverbial baby or your project or you're actually speaking your truth or moving forward on your dreams, they're important. It's really important. It's not la-di-da. No, there's a reason you have that impetus. So let's next look at the very fascinating story of feminine choice and how long ago that silent voice was used by everyday women, priestesses and goddesses of the ancient world. And today, when structures of convention have broken down and people are left to fend for themselves in a world where self-esteem and worth, they're so often built on how much we achieve, so that many of us find ourselves working harder now for fewer rewards. And the old systems, they just don't work because we're living in a time where almost anything goes, right? So if you're used to following your own path, this is actually kind of great news. I find it great news, but if you're the kind of person who was happy with the status quo, it really could be terrifying. And you might not even know that you were going with the status quo until, that it feels like that rug is pulled from under your feet. Now, here's the thing, that in ancient times, the prophetesses, they were rooted in their power, and they didn't need any outside confirmation of their value or decision-making abilities. No need for following convention. They spoke their truths, acting according to it. And if you have not heard, how many people know who the prophetess Miriam is? Raise your hand, and if you don't, yes. Anybody not? No. Miriam is the sister of Moses, and you know what I'm seeing? I'm getting downloads as I'm giving this. Can I get your permission? I could go for another 15 minutes because I'm just, maybe it's getting on that plane, getting like the follow through after working all this uncertainty and emerging triumphant with that D7 visa after so long. If that's okay with you guys, I'll go on a little bit. I want to thank you, Sabine. Yeah, I'm just feeling I'm feeling it. So thank you, higher power. I'm just going to follow that. Hopefully this is very helpful to someone. So let's look at Miriam. All right. Miriam, who was the sister of Moses, older sister. Hardly anybody knows who she is because she led. She didn't need the outside confirmation of her value or her leadership or her decision-making abilities. She spoke her truth. She acted according to it. She's a really excellent model of authentic power, which can't be contained by outer forces and can't be contained or boxed by time. It's so powerful. Let's look at her story a little bit. And for those of you we have students here who are in the Emerge Triumphant course. If you do, you know something of this, but I'm going to let what rips rip. And those of you who have either Miriam's Secret or Emerge Triumphant book, you know of this story a bit as well. But let's look at how her story and the demonstration of her power are so relevant to us today. Okay, because Miriam was like divine feminine power incarnate when she was leading people through those. Hold on, call coming in. Hi, I'm in a broadcast. I'll speak to you afterwards. Bye. Talk about thriving through uncertainty. Well, Miriam was, those things would happen to her all the time. When she was leading people through perilous times towards that promised land. And when we explore that story of going through that time in the desert, in those perilous times, we can reclaim lost parts of ourselves that we forgot long ago. And when we do that, that brings joy back into our lives, and it enables us to serve as positive examples in solution for other people who are looking to live with more meaning, because that's the great opportunity. When everything falls apart, that's the great opportunity. We get to connect with meaning. And as I said in the book and in the course, we dig really deeply to explore what Miriam's life means to us during our modern times of change, and how we can use that to move through our own changes. When we do that, you discover that you are so much more courageous than you think you are. I mean, I don't know how I'm doing this live. Actually, that was a colleague of mine. Yesterday she said, "Are you serious? You're getting on a plane in the middle of the night and you're giving a live broadcast?" I'm like, yeah. Then earlier today, it's like 95 degrees here. This is heat wave. It's like, what am I, nuts? But it's that feminine power. It brings you energy. And her life means so much. It teaches us to respect and appreciate those parts of ourselves that we can't see, that power that's beyond this cognitive mind. And when we'll look at how you can apply these teachings on your own journey to your own personal promised land, whatever that is for you, it's like different for every person. So let's look at what might be blocking you from moving forward on your path, so that you can say goodbye to that anxiety, goodbye to that fear, and open to that flow amidst the uncertainty. So see which of these you relate to most. And you don't have to limit it to one, because this is not as you're seeing, this is not cognitive. All right. The fear and anxiety, this is number one. That fear and anxiety knock you off your center, that you react to it because you're afraid of being criticized if you speak your truth. Or you compare yourself to others. You know what I would love? Because this will help guide me to guide you as we're continuing. Because I want to relate to what's most applicable to you. So that's fear and anxiety knock you off your center. You're afraid of being criticized. Fear of criticism, or anxiety knocks me off center. Or another, compare yourself to others. Because if you're really honest with yourself, nobody knows it outside. Our community are powerful people. It's like people come to you looking to you for the answers. But I'm talking about when you're really honest with yourself, you spend a lot of your time secretly afraid that you're not good enough, even though you've accomplished a lot. Or you're stuck in old patterns from the past, and you're spending your time in reaction these days. That's happened to me recently, in making this change. But I don't stay in it. That's the difference. You allow your head to speak louder than your heart, accepting that the booby prize, which is the comfort of the known, even if it's suffocating you. Because rather than dare explore the uncharted waters of your hidden truth, because those uncharted waters is the uncertainty, and you don't know what's going to be on the other side, so you play it safe. And then that blocks your inner clarity, because it drowns it out. And then your brain gets so busy that you get conned into believing that you're trying your best, like I was doing with the United Airlines, like killing myself slowly at 2 a.m, while your fear gets to keep you down. And the result is you stay in the same stuck place, tied to the past, instead of soaring free into your bright future, which is there now, even with the recession, even with politics, even with, I don't know, whatever else is, climate change, whatever else is going on in the world. Can you relate? Which do you relate to most? Right in the box. Which one? What do you do instead? Well, like I said before, first we need to stop and connect to our inner voices. Because otherwise, if you don't stop long enough, it's, the figuring it out, or like Agnieszka said so poignantly, that analysis paralysis, that's our cognitive minds. And 99.9% of the time, we're not hearing our inner voice. We're reacting to that inner critic, and we're so drugged by it, we're not even aware that we're doing it. Right? Sunita, uncertainty. Yeah, okay. So then let's do this. Let's stop now, and we're going to go on a guided meditation to tap into the roots, the rootedness of your feminine voice, to reveal your birthright. It's like it's already there. There's nothing outside. It's actually inside. Inviting you into that sacred feminine circle. Yeah, it's we don't really socially. I think that's one of the benefits of moving here to Portugal. Boy, are things slow. It's slow. But yeah, it is. It's in the, I wouldn't really call Portugal the West. This has the ancient in it. But yeah, in North America and in Europe, France, UK, Germany, the Western European countries. They're, it's very, very much do. So, okay, so what are we going to do? We're going to have this guided meditation with a simple feminine embodiment approach that will get you clarity really, really fast, in a few minutes, just by connecting to your inner voice of wisdom, and to get you out of your head and into your heart. You're going to ask yourself a question like, how come I keep in this analysis paralysis? All right. One of the main reasons we stay stuck is that the very means by which we're trying to get unstuck, by logic and by thinking, is the very thing that is keeping us stuck. So logically thinking things out, it makes sense when you're facing some kind of logistical challenge, like what I did, the beginning part of the flights, this flight and that, but they didn't connect. When that happened, trying to figure it out was like going down the rabbit hole. Or if you're cooking a delicious meal for the first time, ingredients, they chemically respond in a specific way, right? So when it comes to knowing what to do next, especially during unprecedented times, there's no recipe though. And even if you get a logical answer, like I did with the flights, it doesn't help, because you've got to act upon it, right? So why don't you? Because like I said, You have to be willing to go out of your mind, because the true answers, your clarity, lies in another paradigm. Now, let's go back for a moment before we go into, I want to add another thing that I think will really help when we go into the meditation, is another thing about that, how ancient approaches can really help us today. So, leaders I spoke about Miriam and and that feminine power, but people and leaders in those times, they would actually leave on retreat to avail, they would take time out regularly to avail themselves of special wordless vocal applications and rhythms that would bypass their intellect and connect them to their higher mind, to that feminine, men and women. This is not about men or women. And the blocks in the way of their clarity would arise, which they welcomed, and they met with the utmost respect, because they knew that without changing their environment, without taking that time out, without taking the break, they'd remain stuck in that self-defeating spiral of trying to figure it out from a logical point of view. And so I wanted to share that, all right? And because in that logical view are also stories, all right? So right now, wherever you're sitting, wherever you are, and if there's anything that's open in a second window on your computer, shut it down. Close your eyes. We use stories to effectively communicate and have really healthy relationships, and that's part of the richness of living. But most of us have lost touch with what's just a story. It's a story voice about what was and what might be, as opposed to what actually is right here, right now, happening right here, right now. And as we release our limiting stories, quiet those limiting voices, it can reveal a profound sense of freedom to simply be. Be who you already are. And even though releasing stories and those limiting voices are a powerful aid in letting go, there's actually another story that's even more basic, and that often goes unseen, unheard, and that's the story of, quote unquote, me. I'm separate. We believe that our history, the events of our lives, the events in our lives, are actually happening to, quote unquote, me. But what if that too is a part of a story? I don't know whether you can hear the dog barking outside. Does it seem that anything that you can describe about your history or your life, it's just a story? And as it's seen and as it's heard in the silence behind the sound, behind the story, the voice and the story starts to dissolve into the one life, into the silence, into the all that is, that doesn't need a story to be, because it is. It's like that womb of creation. So consider this question. What story have I been telling myself that's holding me back from what I really want? And listen in your head. Feel it pounding. Get a sense of this. Get a sense of the analysis paralysis, of that wanting to figure it out. But go beneath that general level and ask yourself, what story have I been telling myself that's holding me back from what I want? Now let's go a little deeper. I'm going to take you through a process that will connect you beyond that story, beyond your cognitive mind, connecting you where you're already connected to that beingness, that well-beingness that you already are. So imagine your body as an instrument, and 100% is all flow. But in our consciousness of me, quote unquote me, we're never at 100% flow. Just notice for a moment. And you can even open your eyes for a moment. If I'm noticing my body as an instrument here, I feel some blocks here. Point my finger on it to just get it into focus. There's no right or wrong way to do this. Can't screw this up. Here. And then note with up and down where you feel flow, just to have a beginning sense, because then we're going to take the next step. Okay? And then go down to your tailbone and ask yourself that question. What story have I been telling myself that's holding me back from what my heart truly wants? Ooh. So when you're ready, open your eyes. Notice how you're feeling now. Maybe feeling calmer, maybe feeling more grounded, more rooted. Take a moment. This is an opportunity for you to express your authentic voice. Not even overcome the anxiety. You might be feeling the opposite of anxiety right now. But this is an opportunity in public, in a very calm and safe, serene, supportive way, to express your authentic voice of what you noticed. What story have you been telling yourself that stands in your way? Write it in the chat box. You're feeling lighter, Sabine. What was the story? Cool. What was the story that that you were telling yourself? Failure. What's the story? It's like mine with the story of the with the United story. The story I was that I was acting out of was I have to do everything on my own, and there's not enough money. Honestly, it's like, because I'm going to use my credits. I got to use my credits because maybe they'll go away if I don't use them now. I don't want to spend more money. What will be if I have those credits? But I wasn't trusting. And then the result is a lot more expansion. No way out of this. Oh yeah. Anyone else relate to that? Yeah. That's it. Okay. Anyone else before we go on? And again, if you are coming out of this, participating by watching the recording, please send, if it's in the newsletter, our newsletter community, just press, write in the comment section under the video. Yeah, similar for me. Alone and no support. Yeah, gotta do it alone. Yeah. Because we haven't been particularly powerful women. We haven't had experience being safe, being powerful together, like for a long, long while. And it's changing. And you guys are pioneers, kudos. More used to feeling failure than success, so feeling uncomfortable achieving. Oh, yeah. Anybody else relate to that? Because it takes a lot more, it takes courage to be willing to, it's a lot easier to not act on the anxiety, or it's easier to buy into the anxiety, it's easier to buy into the uncertainty. You get a lot of friends there because it's many fewer people. The majority, I call it the Edel effect. Edel in Hebrew is, it's like the sheep, the flock effect. 99% of humanity is going with the herd, down with the Titanic. It's, it's the minority who show up. But we don't need numbers. Just need to be true to ourselves, and then so much good comes from that. So we've covered a lot of ground, and I want to cover, before we move on, I want to recap what we've looked at. so far at how uncertainty can boost your confidence and alleviate social anxiety so that you can say goodbye to those frustrations by stopping, getting quiet, and taking time to listen to yourself. And then we explored ways to learn and remember your own connection to your original power. We covered the wonderful story of feminine choice and how long ago silent voice was used by everyday women, by priestesses, by goddesses, and then of the ancient world, and then went into a bit more the life of Miriam and her, and her lessons that we can apply to the modern life, and then this guided meditation that we went through, and with the therapeutic singing meditation afterwards to tap you into the rootedness of your own feminine voice, your own clarity, revealing your power, your birthright into your feminine power, into that sacred feminine circle. And as you'll discover, following the uncertain path, it's a process of self-discovery, kind of like an onion. And that unique story that you have, as you keep listening for that, allowing it to come up, not swimming in it, the stuff comes up when it's ready to be released. And then you began to take the first step by sharing that. That's very, very courageous. And so if you've shown up here, I suspect that you're like me. You're ready to reclaim your power. You're ready to reclaim your feminine voice and remain centered and grounded in it so that you can make the difference that you were born to make in this world, even in this uncertain world of today. Ready to emerge triumphant, ready to thrive through the uncertainty that we're all facing. And the planet, it's calling for our feminine voices to be heard, both collectively and individually. And that requires courage. Like I said, it's not it's not the masses. It requires courage to dismantle the fear, the jealousy, the judgment, with self-compassion and with support, because we can't do this alone, and we're not made to do this alone. And after all, it's your voice that's the one making the difference. It's like, that's the conundrum. We're not meant to be alone, and we each have our individual voices, and each voice needs to be heard. And yet it's like, if the voice is in the tree falling, if the voice is in the forest, could you hear it? Yet your voice does need to be heard, and you're not alone. And there's no way that you can really serve others when you're depleted, from an empty well. And that, that reconnection, that replenishment comes first. And if you've been giving to others, but nobody's been around giving back to you, then this here today is the opportunity that you've been waiting for to step outside your post-COVID, post-pandemic survival routine, right? And dive deep into your inner well of wisdom so that you can return home in your life, replenished and ready to make a difference. So whether you're needing to reassess your professional life, your personal life, the pressures, or it's time to reassess, and you gotta soothe your heart, and healing sound really speaks to you, and you feel like you're on the precipice of change, well then today's meditation, it's like a really small taste of what we dive into much more deeply, as I said before, in Emerge Triumphant, Thrive Through Uncertainty course. And I'm majorly excited to announce that Emerge Triumphant, Thrive Through Uncertainty, our summer edition, open today. And with regards to that, I'm curious if you have ever wondered any of these things. Number one, how can I best use my time to emerge from my current circumstances in better shape than before? How do I remain grounded when that anxiety tries to knock me off center? Because it keeps me from taking action and it impacts my results personally and professionally, with relationships, with money, and wasting a lot of time. Which connects to the third one. How do I make the best decisions for myself in the midst of uncertainty? Or I need to express my authentic voice, but when I go to do it, I shut down at the 11th hour and I avoid it instead. I say what they want to hear instead of what I want to say or express, whether it's spoken or sung. Doesn't matter. Or I'm wondering, I need to know when to act. And I wait because I am connected inside and I am listening for my inner voice. And it takes goddamn forever. And I'm exhausted. And I need my answer now. Me too. Relate to any of these? I relate to all five. I've done all five of them at some point in my life, as probably all of us have. And the difference is today it's been years since any of those have been a problem for me, including a few days ago with this United flight. Now I act on my good because I know I've got what it takes to remain grounded through the uncertain path without losing myself. I know what's on the other side, like being able to travel to a foreign place I've never been to and get out of my comfort zone and have an adventure. Maybe that might seem frivolous to some people, especially in these days. But I can remember a time when I cared so much about what others would say and think of me if I followed my inner truth, if I followed my dreams. So I would deprive myself and I wouldn't act on what my inner guidance was telling me because somebody else's critical mind or somebody else's critical need, that was the other thing. Other people's needs were always more important than mine, whether it was in my business, in my profession, or whether it was in my family. And I didn't want to be greedy because I do care, and I wanted to make sure that I felt safe because in the past, the past traumas, which are no longer there now. But, that early experience was very, very painful. And I cried because I wanted to invest my time and money to manifest my dreams, but I didn't. I couldn't. Well, I wouldn't. Now I can say I wouldn't because somebody else's needs were more important than mine. And truth be told, I wasn't really crying over other people's needs being more important than mine. I think what I was really crying over was that I was mad at myself for not honoring my voice and me not honoring my own needs and putting them first by investing in myself, whether that investment is time, money, how I spoke to myself, my dreams, that would actually generate sufficient time, sufficient energy, sufficient income for me to have my well filled and then be able to show up for others honestly, not out of being a good girl or miss, spiritual, take care of everybody else bull hooey, which was avoiding me meeting the fear of me showing up for me. Ouch. Ouch, ouch, ouch. That's why I'm so passionate about this work. That's why I'm so passionate about Emerge Triumphant, Thrive Through Uncertainty course, because when you join us in the Thrive Through Uncertainty course, you dive deep into a proven system that I've used for the most important personal things, professional things that don't slip through the cracks. They slip through the cracks, but when you use this approach, what is in the cracks is the most important stuff. What you don't see, that what doesn't look normal or safe or that doesn't make sense. For example, peacefully living through 3 wars and social unrest in the Middle East for 20 plus years, giving 2 TED Talks, presenting before the United Nations twice, founding a 3-year fully funded medical research project on this approach without a medical degree. And today it's the benchmark in the field of healing music. There are 16 other researches based on this. I'm so proud of it. Making 4 cross-continental moves, 4 of them to foreign countries where I knew 0 people, didn't speak the language, and had no Swiss bank account to, or a sugar daddy to bankroll me. And it's helped me find the resilience to thrive through all the unknown and thrive through all the pitfalls and the, topsy-turvies back and forth, that come up when you dare to move forward and the shit hits the fan. It's not that shit hits the fan, it's that when we go to expand, what is being held on to underneath comes up to be released. It's actually great news. So if you've said to yourself, yeah, I see myself in any one of these scenarios that I just shared, you know what to do. Join me for this course. Because if you're ready to learn how to use uncertainty to carry you to success and to tap into your clarity that resides, in your belly, in your womb, and reclaim your fearlessness through these unpredictable times and this really unpredictable process of change, and allow your heart to speak louder than your head and consciously tap into your inner truth and express yourself authentically and safely and live in harmony with yourself and others, no matter what's going on outside of you, then really this is the perfect training for you. And how it works is it's an online virtual course, and in each of the 6 foundational Thrive Through Uncertainty with Your Healing Voice training modules, you're going to be guided through a series of teaching principles such as we touched on today, similar, as well as guided practices that are designed to awaken and align each phase of your embodied expression. And I've been teaching versions of this course for 15 years now, and I've put together a brand new series, and it incorporates the latest stuff, post-pandemic practices and insights that are the result of, there 3 decades of research and practice and lots of research using this through the pandemic and beyond. And they're released to you weekly on a rolling basis. And each training module includes 3 video lessons, and they're really short. You don't need a lot of time. What we've spent today is much longer than how these chunks are divided up. They're transcripts of the videos, they're practical implementation assignments, and there's a guided meditation to help you embody the module material. I'll put the link in the comment section, and I'll send it out afterwards. And the majorly cool thing is that I said at the end I'm going to give you a gift. So here's the thing. When you join in the next 24 hours, you're going to receive a gift of $500. You're saving $500, and you're only going to pay 60% of the tuition. Plus, you're going to receive 2 live group coaching calls. The value of that's another $500. I mean, it's an amazing, really amazingly valuable package that, well, if you've been beating your head against the wall and how's it working for you, all of this can help you to potentially get your answers now and certainly cover the cost of the course ASAP. Because with the bonuses and the savings, there are a lot of bonuses. I don't want to stay on more. I gotta go get ready, but I'll put the link in. Bottom line, the bonuses, the value, and the savings are worth $15,500. But really, it's priceless. I mean, how much money would you pay? And you really can't, for reclaiming the true power of your feminine voice and not stopping yourself from expressing who you are, being who you are, because you're going to remain grounded in it, and you can finally make the difference that you were born to make and only you can make when you're done with this. And here's the cherry on top to entice you. This is motivated by those of you, and you know who you are, who have reached out to say, in October, I'm leading a retreat in Tavira in Portugal, and it's the Empower Your Feminine Voice retreat. And the Empower Your Feminine Voice retreat is basically the live version of this course. Okay, now here's the cherry on top to entice you. Those of you who have been interested in the retreat, but you said, but I don't know whether I can come to Portugal this year, and I don't know I'm going to make it work. Well, here's bing, 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 the cherry on top to entice you. If you choose to join the Empower Your Feminine Voice retreat, your investment in this course is going to be credited towards your retreat payment, bringing you significant savings on the retreat. Okay, so you start the course now. That's even going to give you the tools to release the blocks that are standing in your way, to free up the time so you could come, or free up the money so you could come. I just love that. So the doors are now open. I'll put in the link. You can check it out, see if it resonates with you. And I'm really looking forward to being your trusty co-pilot, your co-priestess in the program. And it starts the minute you sign up, and you receive lifetime access to this. So we have students who come back again and again and again, and over a 10-year period. We have a wonderful, wonderful community. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being you. You are just the best. I mean, the best. How do I know that? Because there's only one you. Oh, thank you, Sabine. Thank you so much for being here. If ever I make it back into business and money, I want to come to your retreats, courses, and sessions. Well, keep coming back here. And the thing is, over 30 years, if something really speaks to you, there's always a way. It's not money and time that stops us. It's our limiting voices that stop us. And all of these offerings, we have a lot of different offerings, and they are all geared to help you release those old stories. Thank you, Sunita. It takes one to know one. We are all gifts, and my true wish is that we acknowledge it in ourselves, and we dare honor that. We dare value our unique voice. We dare say yes without knowing how, because that's how we move forward. I love you all. Thank you so much. I'm going to go pack now, and we'll and thank you those who are watching afterwards. And this offer that I'm making, I'm making a 24-hour offer, but right before I got on, I thought, you know what, it's going to be 24 hours plus the difference in time that it takes me to get to San Francisco, because this direction I'm going backwards, so I'm gaining time. It's like abundance galore. All right, so you're going to be the beneficiary of that too. So listen to yourself, and if you have any questions, reach out. I'm happy to speak with you. Take care. Thanks a lot. So, thank you, Sunita. Bye bye.